The New York Knicks get their fifth win in a row, and the Detroit Pistons go down to the wire against the Warriors without Steph. We're going to talk about it all and more on today's Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On NBA Game Night, where it's every game, every night, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports network in the world. I'm Haize, one of the hosts of Locked On Bulls. I'm joined, as I am every Friday night, by Swipa, one of the hosts of Locked On Nuggets. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. We're going to start off today with the New York Knicks getting a 127-97 win over the Portland Trailblazers, a scrappy young Portland Trailblazers team, and the Knicks get their fifth win in a row. But first, we're going to go to the host of Locked On Knicks here.
Knicks are back. I'm XJ of Locked On Knicks, and the Knicks destroy the Portland Trailblazers by 30 points, 127-97, a complete decimation from start to finish. And they are starting to look like the team that we have known them to be before they went through this really, really low point of their season. The ball's moving more. They're getting more three-point attempts. They're dominating the rebounds. They out field goal attempted the Blazers by 19 field goal attempts tonight. And OG Anunoby looks more like himself. He's shooting the ball with way more fluidity. Tyler Kolek now getting the opportunity to play with Deuce McBride out. Looks like himself as well, as able to deal with the ball pressure that he's been receiving. Seems like he went in the lab and worked on that ball handling a little bit more, and some physicality from point of attack defenders who are starting to feel like they could take advantage of him. They're not doing it anymore. He's able to get the ball up the court, showing off his passing skills, hitting open threes. And the Knicks seem to all be clicking again, besides Karl-Anthony Towns, who, although he's not shooting well, he's dominating the rebounds in the last couple games, over 40 rebounds between just the two games. He's still helping in other ways, and when his shot comes back, this team's going to look very, very, very scary like they were earlier in the season.
This Knicks team, Swiper, is battling with the Boston Celtics for the #2 seed in the East. They have 7 players scoring in double figures tonight. How you feeling?
Yeah, man, they got up 33 points today. That was the high that it got to, and then they got into double digits off of a Diabara. He made a three-pointer with, like, I think 3 minutes left in this game, in the first quarter, and they legitimately didn't look back from there. They just kept adding to the lead, and they just kind of kept going. Jalen Brunson got to the free throw line. There was like a flagrant foul that happened after he made a three-pointer right before that. They just press the right trigger on the Xbox button versus this Portland Trailblazers team, and they couldn't do anything about it. Now, obviously, granted, you know what I mean, the Trailblazers, they have been trying to figure out, I think, a lot with their roster. They had so many injuries and so many people coming in and out. They just haven't had a lot of consistency, so that's obviously changed up just how they've been playing all year. So they could have been better. Scoot Henderson, Chris Murray, Blake Wesley didn't play, but the team was there, and they just got, like, housed immediately. Denny Advia had 11 points today. He was a -20. He was only 4-14 from the field. Again, the Knicks, man, they just have so many defenders on their roster that are like wing defenders in particular. And if they get going, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, they can really put a lot on you. And especially in the fact when you're bringing Mitchell Robinson off the bench, who's obviously a good rim protector in his own right. They just got through, man, and just ran through that Portland Trailblazers team. So I really like this Knicks team. On paper, I think they can make an argument that they're the best team in the Eastern Conference. I think for them, it's just about getting their synergy together and figuring out their defense, especially as they get closer to playoff time. But that Knicks team is really, really, really good. And, again, it's tracking to being in the Eastern Conference Finals again for the back-to-back seasons.
Yeah, they're looking really good this season. Especially as they come on, and as the host pointed out there, they don't necessarily. Karl-Anthony Towns is shooting the best. He gets to shooting. They get that Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns pick and roll going again. That's proved to be a weapon for them offensively. It's always about really them. We know what the Knicks can be offensively. Their ceiling offensively is extremely high. The question becomes how high is their floor defensively, especially going to the playoffs with all the wing defenders that they do have. That's kind of been the sore spot for them at times is what they can't do defensively. Teams hunt out Jalen Brunson Towns isn't the best defender either, but this is a team that's rolling right now. We're going to see how they continue going after the All-Star break, but there's no reason not to believe that they aren't going to be continuing to make the Eastern Conference Finals yet again. But let's move over to the next game on the docket for tonight, Swiper, and that is the Phoenix Suns get a win over the Cleveland Cavaliers, 126-113 here. Dillon Brooks, 27 points in this game. Dillon Brooks, has been so good this year. And, while he has the edge, we know that the reputation he carries as a player, sometimes I think that causes people to overlook the fact that Dillon Brooks is a really good basketball player, and him playing on this Suns team, it really feels like he's found his niche with this team.
And the fact that they're doing this without Devin Booker, Jalen Green played 15 minutes. He's not played a lot this season. He played good minutes tonight, but Dillon Brooks has become their number one scoring option. And this is after putting up a 40 ball just a couple of days ago. He is on a heater right now. And the level of shot making that he's gotten to is it's insane. And if you just look at a lot of his numbers on the season, he's averaging 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. But he's shooting 35% from the field, or from three rather. But if you just kind of look at the way that he has figured out how to both blend being able to be a good scorer and be a good defender and really still get other people involved, even if it's not like directly passing, he's involving himself in the offense in a healthy way this season. So I really love how he's played. I really love how Jordan Nada's got him going. And I'm really, really excited to see how they continue to figure this out, because this team is just a complete shock. And the fact that they're so good now, by the way, Dillon Brooks without Devin Booker is averaging 24 points a game this year now. Obviously that includes the 40 ball, but that's crazy that you're getting that kind of production from him. And tonight, man, they just now the Cavaliers are missing Evan Mobley, but it's not an excuse to be getting housed 20 plus points. They were down over 20 points in the middle of the third quarter today. The Suns are just a really, really good basketball team, and they are playing extremely confident right now.
Yeah, the Suns, coming into the season, I didn't know what to expect from the Suns. I didn't expect this. I'm not even going to try to act like I expected them to maybe even be a winning team. The fact that they're 30-19, they're competing in that Western Conference. I don't know how far you have them potentially going, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Suns win a playoff series this year. I don't know. We'll see what the matchup is in the second round, but I wouldn't be surprised if they make it out the first round. And considering, everything that they gave up, how many changes they made, and how many questions there were about exactly what this roster was going to look like after trading Kevin Durant to the Rockets and everything like that. I just didn't know what this team was going to be, but hey, they're winning even without Devin Booker. Dillon Brooks has been really good for them, and it just seems like this team this season just has more natural balance than what it did last year with KD.
I mean, somehow, yeah. I think coaching means a lot, and obviously culture setting means a lot. I mean, that's just all credit to Jordan Knott for getting them where they are right now, especially without the players they're missing on their roster.
How far do you think they can go in the playoffs?
I don't know.
What we know right now.
No idea, bro. They that's still going to be a lot to ask for them to get in the playoff versus right now, from a seeding standpoint, they're currently sitting at the
6th seed right now.
So they got
Minnesota.
They got to play Denver or to Spurs in the first round, and I don't like either one of those matchups for the Phoenix Suns. I think that'd be a really tough ask, even though they're really good. I think they would have a lot of defensive issues. I think it's easier to guard them than it would be for them to guard the Spurs or the Nuggets. But shout out, by the way, man, they've had a lot of emerging players, but also Iguodala is one of them. He's been a really good defensive big, really mobile. Obviously, Malawach is not playing a lot this year. They have good pieces on the roster, but I just think the teams that are ahead of them, including the Wolves, I think the Wolves are also better than them. I'm taking probably at least 5 teams in the current playoff field in the West that I would take over them to win the series.
That's fair. And the Cavs, they go down with 29-21 this season. This has been a really weird season for the Cavs. They have times looking like the team that we expect them to be. Injuries are still been a thing for them. Jalen Tyson has been a revelation for them, which we'll see that makes them feel comfortable at the end of the season to do anything with Darius Garland. How you feeling about the Cavs where things are right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to sustain energy. They started off the year so wonky, but they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They've been playing really well. Their offense is finding its course. The biggest thing for them is just going to be health. They get Darius Garland back, but then now then they're dealing with injuries with other players, and then they're still trying to help Darius get over the hump with his own health to be able to play consistently. And then now he's out of the lineup again. Like, it's just they cannot seem to consistently get point guard, center, power forward on the floor all at one time. And Donovan Mitchell was obviously been carrying a crazy load this year. Lonzo Ball also is not the player that they originally thought that they were getting, which is a high-level POA defender who also can make shots and hit three-pointers. He isn't doing any of that right now. So there could be an opportunity for them to move Lonzo Ball at the trade deadline. They just want to see if they can find another guard or maybe just another wing that can do some of the things they need, which is shooting and defending. But man, they have some holes, but without Evan Mobley, their ceiling is not as high as you want it to be.
For sure. We're going to keep the conversation going. We got to talk about the Swipers Nuggets coming out the next side of this as they get a solid win as well. We're going to talk about all that right after this. Well, before we get into that, we do got to get into a message to you guys from Game Time. Where's the thing not coming up? There we go. There's nothing like being at an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment, getting tickets, tough. That's the part that hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, and that's with the fans. Put up the Game Time app, pick up an upcoming game, and had tickets locked in within minutes. Love seeing the all-in price up front with no surprise fees at checkout. The zone deal stood out. Choose the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save. Great last-minute options, too, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's GameTime.com. We're going to get into more Locked On NBA Game Night right after this. All right, Swiper. So, getting into the next set of games for today, let's start off with the game that ended last tonight. The Pistons hold on to get a 131-124 victory over the Golden State Warriors. Steph went down in this game, did not return, but the Warriors still found a way to make it very interesting down the stretch of this game, where it initially looked like the Pistons were going to win this by double figures. How you feeling about this?
Man, I cannot believe that this continues to be the story for Golden State. They just cannot get right. They can't keep players on the court at the same time. And it sucks because they made all the moves. Well, not all of them, if you ask Warriors fans, but they made a good amount of moves in order to get this team in contention. And then Jimmy Butler goes down with an ACL injury. And then you lose Steph Curry today with an injury. And I think he had 23 points before he went down as well. And so they ended up going on a nice run in the fourth quarter to get back into the game. But if anybody watched that, you saw that it was incredibly difficult for them to generate any points versus Detroit at all. And it was Brandon Podziemski. It was Draymond Green trying to run DHOs, but taking no shots because obviously trying to get other people involved. It was DeAnthony Melton, who I've seen multiple times. Now, this was very much a reminder of the Philadelphia 76ers game where DeAnthony Melton is trying to do everything he can to get the Warriors a victory, but he just doesn't have like the on-ball scoring skills like Steph. And, Pods, man, I got to tell you, dude, he's 1 of 8. He was 1 of 4 today. He took a crazy three. I think they were down 4 points or something like that, and Pods took like a 28-foot three that ricocheted off the backboard that didn't go in at all. Now, again, granted, like, what are you going to do outside of that? Like, I understand Buddy Hield, like, he can't shoot the ball every single time. He only was 2 of 7 from 3, but they just don't have another guard, which is what Jordan Poole was supposed to be able to help Steph, to be able to create possessions, especially if they don't have like a interior scoring big. So I understand why Warriors fans are all in on Giannis and why they want Giannis on that roster, but I'm looking at this roster now saying, I don't know why the Bucks would want anybody on this roster at all. But shout out, man, like the Detroit Pistons, they hung on and they got this victory, but it very well could have went the other way if Steph Curry was there to close out that game when they got it within 4 or 5 points.
Absolutely. But you get Cade Cunningham with 29 points on 19 shots, which is good. Jalen Duren continues playing great. That's that when you have a point guard and a big man playing in the rhythm that those two play in, that's usually a recipe for success. We talk a lot about on Locked On NBA the daily version of the show about how to really view this Pistons team as far as, because they're so young. This is the first time they've been in this position. Are they going to be able to actually go the distance and go to the Eastern Conference Finals? But they just play so well as a team. They're very well coached. The depth is really good there. Also, when you look at this Pistons team, what do you think is the thing that could hold, if anything holds them back from getting to the Eastern Conference Finals? What do you think the biggest thing would be?
Yeah, so a little bit of some nerd stuff here. So if you look in the last 25 years at teams that have won the NBA Finals, one of the most common things that you'll see that hadn't been true for every season, but for most seasons, is you look at effective field goal percentage. Typically, the NBA champions have come from the teams that have been top 3 in effective field goal percentage. This doesn't mean all. This year, that's Denver, 57.6 effective field goal percentage, which is crazy. The Lakers are 56.9, and then you got Milwaukee at 56.6, and then you got OKC with 56.4. Detroit, though, their offense and their shooting is going to be a huge deal, because I believe Detroit, they're sitting at 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They're 16th in effective field goal shooting, which is just overall like how your 2-point makes and your 3-point makes, like how well you shoot from the field without the free throw line. That's tough. And that's not great because they're sitting right next to Houston. The difference is Houston with Steven Adams had the best offensive rebounding situation in the league. So they would just create multiple possessions. That way their first shot didn't need to be super efficient because they're getting rebounds on 35, 33% of every game they play. So that means they're getting a third more rebounds than the opposite team, essentially. Toronto is also within that range with them. Then you got the Phoenix Suns also in that range with them. I just don't think that is something that's going to be viable for them over the entire run. Now, they got the second best defense basically in the NBA this year. So they have some things that can help them and carry them, man. But I think that they can make the NBA Finals. I think them and the Knicks are the 2 best teams in the conference. Maybe the Celtics have something to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
But winning, I mean, even we saw like when they played today and they played versus Denver the other day without like all their guys, like they can be had. They just don't have the same kind of offensive personnel you need, I think, to win consistently. But Tobias Harris also can make up for a lot of that because he's been one of the best post scorers in the NBA this year. But Duncan Robinson isn't giving them the same kind of shot value they got from Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. Those 2 misses, I think, are going to end up costing them a little bit this year.
Yeah, and I think also like Jaden Ivey not being like Jaden Ivey was that player for them that could score, kind of get a bucket outside the framework of the offense. They don't really have that guy. They have been in some rumors for some guard depth here at the trade deadline. We'll see what they can do, but completely agree with you there. Let's get into your team though, Swipa. The Jokic was out for a month, comes back and immediately puts up a 31-point, 12-rebound game. This game was ridiculous to see from him. Tim Hardaway Jr. with 22 points in this game as well. They defeat the Clippers 122-109. How you feeling?
Yeah, Jokic came back, and David Adelman said tamper expectations before the game went on. And then Jokic proceeded to be the first player in NBA history to score 30-plus points, 10-plus rebounds with 5-plus assists while playing less than 25 minutes in a game.
Ridiculous.
First game back. And just for context, Haize, he did this while also playing the team that's been the hottest in the league. They were 16-3, the Clippers, in the last 19 games, and they were top 3 in offense and top 6 in defense over the last basically like month and change, which is ridiculous. And they just couldn't do anything with him. Jamal Murray had 20 points, 9 assists. He had 4 threes today. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 5 threes, I believe. He also had 22 points off the bench. He leads all Western Conference players in threes off the bench this season. He's a 6th Man of the Year candidate. And Peyton Watson had 21, 4, and 3. And he took over at the end of the first quarter as well. By the way, again, y'all, this is without Bogey for the Clippers, which is a big loss for them off the bench. The Clippers were healthy outside of that. The Nuggets are still missing Cam Johnson. They're still missing Christian Brown. And now, obviously, without Aaron Gordon for 4 to 6 weeks, as he just allows for his hamstring to fully heal. He'll be back for playoffs. This team is ridiculous. They're so talented. The defense played really well for them last night. And Ty Lue said before the game that they didn't know if Jokic was going to be playing. But obviously, in his words, they're getting the best player in the world back. So that changes things. Like, the fact that Jokic can just walk into the situation like this and not play for a month and give you 31, 12, and 5 in 24 minutes and change.
It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's putting up 2K performances out there, bro. Like it's and casually, like But yeah, shout out to Jokic for what he's able to do. Jamal Murray had 20 points in this game, 7 to 10 from the field. You get Peyton Watson, who's having a breakout season with his 21 points as well. I mean, and it's just a good victory from a Denver Nuggets team that was able to stay afloat enough. And now Jokic is back healthy. They're going to keep getting healthier. Western Conference better watch out, man, because the Nuggets still have a lot to say about how that Western Conference is going to shake out this season. But with that said, we're gonna recap the rest of the NBA Friday night games, including a game from the Boston Celtics right after this. First, we got to get some message from one of our sponsors, and that is FanDuel. It's last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is a Super Bowl 60, FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting on. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off this season and makes the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We're Locked On NBA Game Night coming up next. All right, Swiper, let's get into it, man. Last few games of the night. We got shorts from every one of the hosts over the last 5 games that we have to cover. So let's start with the Boston Celtics. Let's get into the short from John Corrales.
Boston Celtics get back on track here against the Sacramento Kings. That happens when you play the Sacramento Kings. I'm John Corrales from the Locked On Celtics podcast. Celtics built a 26-point first half lead and then just kind of cruised from there. No Jalen Brown, but Peyton Pritchard stepped up in a big way, which he tends to do when Jalen Brown doesn't play. He doesn't miss a lot of games, but Pritchard tends to step up. Played great. I'm continuing to be impressed when he gets into the lane, gets in amongst the trees, and finds a way to make a basket, turn around, and step through, where he finds the Neemias Queta for dump-offs. And Queta was a big reason why the Celtics were able to build this early lead. He's been sick, and I think that's been an underrated kind of factor in the Celtics kind of being a 500 team lately. He came in right away, caught a couple of lobs, was really good. His screening, his ability to roll, he knows what to do with the ball when he gets it. He knows how to relocate. That was a big reason why the Celtics got going early. And Baylor Shireman got a start, played with great energy, great hustle, hit a bunch of shots as well. Played great defense too. People don't think of Baylor Shireman as a defender, but he makes some plays. So all of that combines for a very easy win for the Boston Celtics. I'll be talking about it on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
How you feeling about the Celtics win here, Swiper?
Great win. As he said, you're playing versus the Kings, and the Kings are in full, I don't know what we're doing mode. And Keon Ellis is still coming off the bench for that team and the trade candidate. Nobody knows what's going to happen with him. Obviously not having a best year. DeMar DeRozan was 2 of 10. There was no Russell Westbrook today. The team is just, it's not a great situation. So the fact that you can build a 26-point lead at half, I think without Jalen Brown also goes to show you 2 things. The Kings are bad. The Boston Celtics are also really good. Joe Mazzulla's a genius. He's one of the best coaches in the league. Peyton Pritchard had an incredible game today. Derek White's having an all-star caliber season as well. His impact is not felt in the box score, but he was great today. Sam Hauser was obviously good. And obviously, as you said, Baylor Shireman, just like another great pickup for Boston. So it was just a great win for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's get into the next game. The Magic get a win over the Raptors here, 130-120. We got a short from Philip Reichman Wright.
This is Philip Rossman Wright, the host of Locked On Magic here at the Kia Center as the Orlando Magic stun the Toronto Raptors 130-120, erasing a 13-point deficit. Entering the third quarter, they erased that in 5 minutes and zoomed ahead by 13 points themselves. A truly stunning game, and really the key decision came from Jamal Mosley. After the bench gave away the lead, giving him a 13-point run after the game was tied at 80 to end the third quarter, he went to his starting lineup to open the fourth. They were going to have to play their starters all the way to the end of the game, and they delivered. Desmond Bane finishes with 32 points. It's a season-high 7 threes with 7 for 10 from 3, giving the Magic kind of offensive spark they were looking for when they acquired him. But that wasn't just him. It was Wendell Carter. It was Paolo Banchero making plays. It was Anthony Black making plays. everybody found the energy at the end of the game and in the fourth quarter. And when it came to winning time, Orlando delivered. Is this enough to save the Magic season? Is this enough to give them momentum with a second straight win to get over the hump and climb back into the Eastern Conference playoff race? We will find out Sunday in San Antonio, but a huge win for Orlando. They will take them wherever they can get them. And a statement made tonight that this team is still very, very dangerous.
The Magic have been a very interesting team to talk about this season because for years, they've had a championship caliber defense. The offense was behind. The offense is still not necessarily what they were hoping it was going to be after trading for Desmond Bane, but the defense isn't the same level that it's been in prior years either. Swiper, how you feeling about the Magic?
I feel great. Great because my preseason breakout player of the year was Anthony Blackman. Anthony has been
Black is playing great.
Last 20 games, 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists for A. Black, 49% from the field, 40% from 3 on 6 attempts a game, and 82% from the line. That is a hooper. That dude is so good, and he absolutely changes the dynamic for this team. He is quickly moving up the scale of best players on that roster. Obviously, if you want to take Jalen Suggs, and if I had to rank the Magic, it's Franz, is Paolo / Desmond, and then I think Anthony Black is probably right after that in front of Jalen Suggs. He just has an offensive ceiling that Jalen has not shown yet. And Anthony's also still can be a really good defender. He's 6'7". So people don't realize that, like, he's actually still like a really, really big dude, and he's growing into his body even more. Anthony has been hooping. He's been one of the best stories of the year. The fact that, like, he's playing this well and he's really he's increasing their floor. Like, he's really impacted just how good they could be in a playoff setting, because now you have a guard that can beat people off the dribble. They've been asking for that for years.
Yeah, and especially the fact that, like, he's in his third season, but he's only 22 years old. The sky's still the limit for him. Crazy. It's good to see a young player like him really start putting it together like this in year 3 and helping this team where they need it the most. Like you said, he's raising the ceiling for that Magic team. We'll see how far they can raise it going into the playoffs, because right now they're still in that play-in area. But let's get into the next game that we have on the night. That's the Lakers going to win over the Wizards, 142-111. Here's one of the hosts of Locked On Lakers.
This is Brian Kamenetsky, co-host of Locked On Lakers. Lakers win big in Washington on Friday, 142-111, the final score. The story of this one, of course, Luka Doncic, who had a triple-double, which is not unusual, except he did it all in the first half, which definitely is. He finished the game with 37 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists, only needed 31 minutes to do it all. He was stunningly good, particularly early as the Lakers built out a 14-point first quarter lead. So Luka was the headliner, but don't overlook DeAndre Ayton, who had a major bounce back game for the Lakers, has been uneven in his play. He finishes this one with 28 points, 12 of 14 from the field, along with 13 rebounds and 3 blocks. So plenty to cover in tonight's episode of Locked On Lakers. We'll bring you a fuller recap later, so make sure you check it out. Also, some updates on when Austin Reeves might play before the end of the road trip. So check all of that out.
The Lakers get a win over the Wizards. The Wizards have 12 wins on the season. I'm not going to make it sound like this is a huge win, but it was a really special performance from Luka tonight.
Yeah, Luka's incredible. Consensus top 4 player in the world. He's been shooting really well as of late as well. 37, 13, and 11. Nothing to sneeze at, with 3 steals. And then obviously LeBron giving you 20. And then you get 28 from DeAndre Ayton and 13 rebounds. So again, just go to show you the kind of team they're playing against, because DeAndre Ayton having that kind of performance, which is like one of his 3 best performances of the season, came against the Wizards. So shout out, man. That's another great win. You need to get wins, stay atop in the Western Conference.
That's a fact. The Nets get a win over the Jazz, but do the Jazz really win this, as they are a tanking team? Here we go from David Locke, a short from David Locke here.
It was quite the matchup in Salt Lake City tonight, as the Utah Jazz had lost 4 in a row and were looking to break that home losing streak. And the Brooklyn Nets came in having lost 7 in a row. And to make matters worse for both teams, they were without their leading scorers. The Utah Jazz were playing without Lowry Markkanen's 27 points, and the Jazz are 1-12 this year coming into the game without Lowry. While Michael Porter Jr. was not playing tonight, averaging 25 points a game, and the Nets were 0-7 without Michael Porter Jr. So how would this one play out? Well, in a feel-good story, BYU one-year player Yegor Jomin the 8th pick of the NBA draft, had a stellar night for the Brooklyn Nets. He had 25 points and 10 rebounds and 4 assists, hitting 6 of 12 from 3, and carried the Brooklyn Nets to a 109-99 win over the Utah Jazz, thus giving them their first win of the year without Michael Porter Jr. and breaking their 7-game losing streak. For the Jazz, Keontae George, another solid 26-point night with 7 assists. Kyle Filipowski had a double-double with 14 points and 12 rebounds, and Isaiah Collier came off the bench for 10, while Bryce Sensabaugh scored 18. Jazz will head now on a 5-game East Coast road trip spanning from Toronto to Miami.
Like I said, I don't know who really won this game, depending on what their goal is. But for what it's worth, 109-99 victory for the Brooklyn Nets in this one. Igor Dimit, though, has slowly but surely started putting together a really solid season. He shot the ball 6 of 12 from 3-point range in this game. 3-point shooting was probably his biggest Achilles heel. He's really starting to work on that over the course of this NBA season, though.
Yeah, great job, man. You know, the Nets, I don't remember who did it first, but I know that the other team responded when they heard that Lauri Markkanen was out. I believe the Nets were like, all right, Porter, you're sitting after a 38-10 game that he had just last night. But look, the Nets, they're finding out they got a lot of talent on their roster. By the way, shout out Keontae George. He was 9 of 11 from the field with 26 points and 7 assists. They have their guard of the future. And on top of that, they got Ace Bailey in the wings and Kyle Filipowski with having Lauri Markkanen, and then obviously Walker Kessler when he gets back. Don't be shocked, y'all, if next year the Utah Jazz, after they get another blue chip player, if they're moving into solidified playing Hawks. I think they're a lot better than people realize.
Yeah, well, yeah, I agree. I think the Jazz got a lot of talent on that roster. We'll see how because this may be the last year tanking for them. Their pick is top 8 protected. Hopefully after this year, the Jazz actually just focus on playing basketball, developing their young talent, because I think they do have a lot of talent on that Jazz team. A lot of it on there. Last game of the night, the Memphis Grizzlies get a loss here to the Pelicans, 114-106. Let's go to a short from Jake here.
Pelicans get a much-needed win over the Memphis Grizzlies, 114-106. Some nice performances from New Orleans in this one. I'm Jake Madison, host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast. You had Derek Queen with a near triple-double. He was rebounding exceptionally well in this one. Really nice face-up and isolation game here. The rookie continues to impress, and that's going up against Jaren Jackson Jr. as well. You had Zion Williamson with 21 points, but really the story might be Saddiq Bey, a guy who missed all of last season, putting up 20-plus points. He's been a bit of a hero in a lost New Orleans Pelicans season. He could be a very acquirable guy at the trade deadline who could really help a contender. Other thing to note in this one, this could be Jose Alvarado's last home game as a member of the New Orleans Pelicans. A lot of rumors about him. He sparked a big run at the end of the third quarter for the Pelicans that let them take control of this game. They never looked back basically at that point in time. If this is his last game, that's a heck of a way to go out, though they would hate to see that. The fans here in New Orleans. I'll have more over the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
Derek Queen having a great rookie season. Cedric Howard for the Memphis Grizzlies, another rookie that's having a really good season, and the sky's the limit for his career going forward. 2 of my favorite players coming out of this past draft. How you feel about this game, Swiper?
Look, I want to say seeing Saddiq Bey praises. I thought he was going to be really good out of Villanova. I thought he was going to be really good with Detroit. He had a 50 game as well. He just got terrible situations. The injury, Detroit was a mess. Then he went to Atlanta. Atlanta was a mess. Injuries. And then all of a sudden he gets to the Pelicans and people are like, he's washed. No, he's not. He's not super efficient lately, but he's averaging 18 points a game in the last 20 games for the Pelicans. So I just think Sadiq's a really good player, and I am 100% on Jake's side. If I'm a contender and I can buy low on Saddiq Bey, I'm getting Saddiq Bey tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, he can help playoff teams that are trying to get over that hump out of the play-in. The Pelicans got a number of players if they do decide to start trading off pieces that they can get, but Saddiq Bey is probably a realistic one. Eve Missy, we've heard a lot about at the trade deadline as well. Both those players can help some teams in a lot of ways for the remainder of the way. Before we close out, Swiper, that's all the games for tonight. 9 games for tonight, full slate. Anything left to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, a little bit of non-NBA news, everybody, but shout out, if you did not catch Unrivaled, Marina Mabry had 47 points. 47 points. And that was an unrivaled scoring record. And I want to say, brother, I think she played 21 minutes. She played 21 minutes. She made 10 threes. Best basketball performance of the evening.
Marina Mabrey is such a good scorer. It's ridiculous. And you've seen it in the WNBA as well. She used to be on My Chicago Sky before we traded her, but she can fill it up. There's just no doubt about that. Like, it's very special talent. And if you guys aren't watching Unrivaled, you definitely should. There's some really good basketball going on there. That's for sure. But that's gonna do it for us for today, man. We thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys go and support Swiper over Locked On Nuggets. You can check me out every day on Locked On Bulls. Locked On NBA Game Night is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, and Fubo TV. Basically, anywhere you want to see us, you can get that done. It doesn't take a lot to see us, man. We'll catch you guys next Friday, y'all. Peace.